Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be giving out my picks for UFC on ESPN Plus number 7. We jump into the UFC heavyweight division. We have Alistair Overeem taking on Alexei Oleynik for the main event. So let's take a look at the tail of the tapes here. We know that Alistair Overeem, he's fought all over the world, competed in Pride, Strikeforce, worked his way up to a UFC title fight where he came up short against Stipe. So that just shows that the Demolition Man is by far one of the best UFC fighters at the heavyweight division. We know that he's 38 years old. Oleynik is 41. The Bowling Constrictors coming over a big win over Mark Hunt. Also Chase Sherman. Alistair Overeem is coming off a win over Sergey, another Russian fighter who's competing on this card. Um, So yeah, it's a tough fight to call here. We got a classic striker versus a grappler here. Alexei Olenek has 45 submission victories, so most of his wins are by submission. Um, but I think it would be a tough task for him to submit Alistair Overeem because Overeem, after all these fights he has on his record, he's only been subbed one time. So it could be a tough task here. We know Overeem sometimes he has real tough time stuffing the takedowns, like he did against Curtis Blades, where he lost that fight. So if Overeem could be able to stuff the takedowns, I think he'll be able to find his range, land a lot of leg kicks, body kicks, and be able to outstrike Oleynik here. Because we know Oleynik weak points are the striking. We've seen him take a lot of shots from Mark Hunt. He's pretty much almost out of that fight until he be able to get the takedown and get the submission choke against Mark Hunt. We also seen him eat a lot of shots against Junior Albini before he laces his Ezekiel choke. His signature choke is the Ezekiel. So yeah, I mean, he's always walking down forward with his hands down. He eats a lot of shots. Curtis Blades was able to TKO him by doctor stoppage. Um, I think that Overeem could possibly get the job done here. I think his striking is going to be too much for the Bone Constrictor. I think he'll be walking down and eating a lot of power shots from Overeem. Um, I just think that Overeem take down the fence. He has a good clinch. Um, so yeah, I think that Overeem should be able to win this fight here. So we're gonna go the Demolition Man here, taking out the Bone Constructor. As we move into another fight on the card, we jump into the co-main event at 155 lightweight division. We have Islam Makhachev taking on Arman here. We know that Islam opponent is making his debut in the UFC. Islam is coming off a big win over Cajun Johnson, an Ultimate Fighter season competitor. So we also know Islam is 16-1. He's only have one loss, and that was due to Adrian Martin's big win. He holds big wins over veterans like Gleason T-Bow, who's a tough guy to TKO. He beat Nick Lentz, another tough stud, and also Chris Wade, who's competing in a professional fight league. Yeah, so we know this guy's no joke. He's currently ranked number 18 in the lightweight division. So yeah, I like Islam getting this done. Arman is making his debut, his first fight in the UFC. So who knows? He might be gun shy, finally getting a chance to compete uh, in the big stage. So who knows how he's going to deal with this pressure. So far, I got to go with the more experience, with the higher quality names on his resume. We go Islam Makhachev here, getting it done. As we move forward to another fight on the card, we jump into the UFC heavyweight division. We have Sergey Popovich taking on Marcelo Golm here in another heavyweight fight. We know we got our first chance to take a look at Sergey in the UFC. He lost to Alistair Overeem. He was on a big win streak before that. Marcelo Gome, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, coming off of a loss to the Indian fighter Arjun Singh Bueller from Canada. He also lost to Timothy Johnson. So Marcelo Gome, he hasn't really been showing us anything. He's not that excited. He's just been losing decisions. With that being said, we want to go with the Russian hometown fighter. We got to go with Sergey Pavlovich getting it done here. I just think that Marcelo Gome, he's a little gun shy sometimes, and he doesn't move forward, especially when he's down on scorecards. He really doesn't do anything to try to get the victory. So we're going to go here with the big Russian heavyweight. We're going to go Sergey here. As we move forward onto the card, we got Devin Clark taking on Ivan here. Devin Clark coming off a big loss, TKO to Alexander Rakic. Ivan is also coming off of a big win out in Russian cage fighting RCC. He came out with a big win over a former UFC fighter, Thiago Silva. Ivan is making his debut into the UFC. We know he has a great record. He's 16-0. Devin Clark, he's a strong wrestler. If you let him grab you and take you down, you have a long night. He held a big win over Mike Rodriguez. Lost to Jan Blachowicz. We know he's coming off a nasty knockout to Brown Bear, so we don't really know how he has recovered from that nasty TKO. But he's a strong wrestler. He likes to grind, and if you give him the chance to keep taking you down over and over, he will. He's more known of a decision fighter, Devin Clark. I really don't like taking guys on their debut, but sometimes I'll make an exception here. So we want to take Ivan here. The guy is 16-0 for a reason. They call him Hulk. He has 6 TKO wins, 5 submissions, and 4 decision wins. So he mixes it up well. He also has the knockout over Fabio Maldonado in Russian Cage Fighting Championship. He did that in RCC 4. So he has big names on his record, guys who competed in the UFC. Also beat Philip DeFries. So yeah, he's competing against tough names. Also beat Ishii, who competed in Bellator. So yeah, man, I like this Ivan guy here getting it done, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna have the hometown crowd supporting him with his win. So we go Ivan here. We want to move forward into the card. We're going to talk about a women's flyweight division. We're going to talk about the Shevchenko sister here taking on Roxanne, possibly the most confident pick on the card. As you can see, Roxanne has a shitty record. She's 22-15, taking on a woman 7-0, the Panther. I mean, you would get this done here. Possibly my most confident pick here. We know the Happy Warrior. She has a lot of heart. She has a decent ground game. She likes to get the fight to the ground. But to me, she's sloppy on the stand-up. She leaves herself open for a lot of shots. So therefore, we want to go with the Panther, the Shevchenko sister, getting it done here in the UFC flyweight division. As we move on, we go to the UFC middleweight division. We have Christoph Jocko taking on Allen here. We know that Jocko is competing in the UFC a few times. This Allen guy is making his debut. We've seen him lose to Uriah Hall. He also lost to David Branch. He lost also. He's lost to tough names. Brad Tavares also. So he's getting the experience here. He hold big wins over Tamden McCrory, competed in the UFC and Bellator also, and Thylus latest fought Anderson Silva at one point for a title. I just think that Christoph experience fighting big UFC names like that on his resume. He should be able to get the ball rolling here and finally get a W here in the UFC. Um, Put an end to his 3-fight losing streak. I haven't seen too much from this guy that he's competing against. So therefore, I got to go what I know best. And then we got to go Christoph here getting it done. Want to move forward into another fight here. We got Sultan taking on Nakamura here. Sultan is coming off of a loss. And Nakamura is coming over a big win. Japan versus Russian fight here. Tough fight to call. But I want to jump behind the hometown fighter. Want to go with Sultan getting it done here. We know Sultan is coming off a loss to Raleigh Alves by TKO. So I just think he's a better fighter here. We know K Toro is coming over a win, but I like Sultan here, so that's why we're going Sultan getting it done. So we move into the lightweight division. Alexander taking on Alex de Silva. Alex de Silva making his debut on this card here. We know Alexander, the Thunder of the North, is coming off a 2-fight losing streak. Very tough dude, but for somehow Zach Cummings subbed him and Usman beat him. So, that just shows if Usman beat him in a decision, he's a tough guy to put away. Therefore, we're going to go with Alexander here, especially since Alex de Silva is making his debut. He's 20-1. He's on a 2-fight win streak, but we haven't really seen too much of him. Haven't competed in the UFC. Could have jitters coming to the big stage. We go Alexander here. As we move to another fight here, we got the UFC heavyweight division, the big boys. Marcin taking on Shamil here. These guys both share something in common here. They both hold big wins over Andre Arlovski, the Pitbull. And they both hold losses to Derek Lewis. So it seems like this fight was meant to happen here. Marcin's coming over a win over Stefan Struve. He's fought Fabricio. He's fought against Derek Lewis. So, yeah, man, I like Marcin winning this fight. Shamil, he's a pretty good fighter. His strong point is his grappling and his wrestling, but his conditioning to me is questionable. He always seems to slow down in the third and second round. With that being said, it's tough to depend on a guy like that. He had a boring performance against the Pitbull, in my opinion. So we go Marcin getting it done. I want to talk about the last fight that I want to pick here. We got to go with our boy Michael at the UFC light heavyweight division, taking on this Anti-Glove guy. Shit, hard name to pronounce. But I like Lord here getting it done, especially coming over a big win over John Vellante with a knockout or body shot. We know that that's a tough guy to put away by TKO, especially from a body shot. John Vellante has a lot of heart and he can take a lot of damage. So for him to knock out Vellante like that in the first round says a lot about him. He went 3 rounds with Khalil Roundtree. We seen what Roundtree just did to Anders. So that shows this guy's tough. He could take shots and keep moving forward. His opponent from Russia here, on the other side, he's coming off of a loss to Ian. He got KO in the first round. So who knows how he recovered from that TKO. He's a slight underdog here for a reason. I just think that the Poland fighter is younger, fresher, um, and he'll be able to get it done. So we want to go with the youth here. We want to go with Lord getting it done. So yeah, those are my picks here for UFC. On ESPN Plus number 7. We'll be taking a trip down to St. Petersburg, Russia. Hope you guys will be joining me to watch these fights. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever. Do whatever you guys want. But make sure you guys just show love, man. Thank you guys for stopping by. From yours truly, King of MMA, aka Tapo King. Yes, sir.